Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys more about the experience at NASA now. It was really such a privilege to be among so many great people and to meet so many like-minded individuals. The fellow interns that I encountered were fantastic, but I think one of the people who inspired me the most during my time there was my mentor, Dr. William Wambert. This is him here. He is one of the most interesting people I have ever met in my entire life. You don't usually run into people like this who not only inspire you on an academic level, but really inspire you on a personal level and teach you about love and about living and about enjoying life. And I think I'd always remember that about him. I remember the first Friday that he guided all of his interns and I into a room. He put on the song Let It Go from Frozen, and he gave us ice cream, and he told us, you know, you guys need to start singing, right? Because one day you're going to be parents and you're going to have to be really enthusiastic. So at this point in time, I'm thinking, wow, I'm here at NASA to do science, not to learn about my future children. I was ready to hightail it out of there, but as the 10 weeks progressed, I realized that this man, he really had a message to tell all of us that life isn't just about getting work done, but about experience and about sharing things with people. I have a little video of him to share to show what a great person he is. I don't know if you guys know the Kiki challenge. Yeah, my mentor, this is him. That's him right here. So this is what we have on a weekly basis. He's a fantastic guy. And the love and kindness that he showed all of us, he really made it feel so much like home at my time there. It was great. My second mentor was a little bit different. He had a really sharp tongue. He wouldn't hold anything back, and he really demanded perfection at every twist and turn. I remember when we entered into the wind tunnel for the first time, he looked at the floor and said, wow, it looks kind of messy in here. We should clean it. I thought he was joking, but then he went and he got some brooms for us. But he is, I think I learned a lot from him, like applying his need for perfection to all of my future endeavors, as well as he is so sarcastic. I'm gonna really miss that about him. So this is him right here, and these are some of my team members. This is Stephen, this is Julia, and this is Sarah. They worked really hard alongside me to get this project underway. The project that we took part in is really important to Dr. Wambert, and both him and Dr. Alan Wadcock played a really instrumental role in teaching us and showing us the ropes. This is him again. He actually made me climb up and do this. This was all him. Also, a really fun experience about NASA was that they organized these summer series lectures where they had all these really fantastic NASA scientists come and share some of their wisdom with us and share what they were working on. This is Dr. Pete Warden. He's a former director of NASA Ames he was a director for about 8 or 9 years. He is currently working on something called Breakthrough Starshot, I think. It is a search for intelligent life. The project that he works on wants to send a light sail to the Alpha Centauri system. And what fascinated me about him, even though a lot of his lecture was really technical, was that he was an astrophysicist. And that's something that I want to take part in as a career one day. And as someone who is majoring in physics, amongst many other things, I think he was part of the Air Force as well. He was a great inspiration to me, and listening to him talk and seeing just how passionate he was about what he was doing made me realize that I want to be just like him one day. And it was great listening to him and just being a part of that entire experience. Another one of the great lectures that I was part of was a satellite called ARCUS that was involved in that is supposed to be involved in X-ray spectroscopy. They want to look at the halos around galaxies. They are interested in seeing how black holes interact with matter and looking at star formation. This guy is called Dr. Randall Smith, and he is just the funniest, most entertaining lecturer I have ever encountered. And the ARCUS satellite, what was interesting about it was that one of my good friends was actually one of the primary interns who worked on it. So when you're at NASA, all the people that you meet are doing such fascinating things, and it's great getting involved in what they're doing and seeing what they're doing. And one day I hope to read about him in the paper. And of course, I try not to cry when I talk about this, but this is my roommate, Melu. She is one of the greatest things about my NASA experience. I remember, like, when we were about to leave, she'd look at me every day and say, "We're not roommates, we're sisters," and this was fate. When I went to NASA and I knew I had to live with someone, I was really scared about that because I don't like people that much. But when I met her, I knew that I knew at the end that she was a lifelong friend. One of my greatest memories with her was we went on this hike together, just me and her. And the driver that took us up to the mountain, he turned around and looked at these two little girls, and he's like, "You sure you want me to drop you guys here?" And we were like, "Yeah, why not?" Call it adventure or call it stupidity. We came out to do that hike. And we had no cell service, there was no one around, and we went for it. And then we saw this sign that says, "Beware mountain lions." I was terrified, she was not, but it was probably the most fun, terrifying hike that I have ever been on, but it was okay because I had her with me. And I made so many great friends at my time at NASA. There's so many stories and not enough time to share them with you all. But I'd just like to acknowledge everyone that I had the pleasure of meeting at NASA. It really was a great experience, both academically and in a personal way. Thank you guys.
So I'll just talk to you about my NASA experience as well, in addition with Ariel. So most people think, when they think NASA, they think of like one facility. However, there are many facilities peppered around the United States. The main one that everyone knows of is the one in Cape Canaveral, Kennedy Space Center. The one we were at was at the NASA Ames Center here in the top of California. There are other NASA facilities nearby, but this is the one that we were at, all the way up here. So this facility is large. It is very, very huge, a huge facility. It was known as a military base before, and now it was, here they use it for different things. So here we can see the actual wind tunnel itself, quite huge, and this entire section of it is gated off. And this is the actual facility where we work at. It's so large they even have an airfield, basically, right next to it. And you can see here one of the main features of the actual base called Hangar 1. So I'm just going to talk to you about the facility itself because it's actually quite an interesting historic landmark to actually be a part of. You can see here, this is the Hangar 1 that I was talking about, in which they house a Zeppelin, the USS Macon. Basically, this entire hangar was used to hold a Zeppelin in it. That's amazing. This thing is so huge. The actual gates are controlled on train tracks. However, as time progressed, because as I said, it's a historic landmark, more or less, much more different from the actual nature of Silicon Valley, in which it is the center of. It's not very technologically advanced, but it is quite a sight to behold. So this is the actual hangar now as it is. The outer casing has been stripped because of health and safety issues, but Google has bought pieces of it, of the field, and they're basically going to renovate it more or less. This is also a beautiful shot of a landmark plane and the hangar in the background. So As I said, the Ames facility is known for a variety of facilities within it. One of them is the actual supercomputer facility here. One of the supercomputers at NASA Ames is the Pleiades supercomputer and the D-Wave quantum computer. Both of these computers are very interesting, very amazing to see. This one actually sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. It's quite cool. And what do they use these supercomputers for? They use it for simulations and a variety of problems, more or less. You can see here in this picture, this is a simulation of the early birth of the universe. Like when they basically were showing us this, I was totally baffled by how is it possible that they were able to simulate this and what kind of resources it required, more or less. This is showing that the gas basically coalescing into young and early galaxies and so on as time progressed forward in billions of years and so on. And this is another experiment they conducted with where it shows all the ocean currents in the world. They were simulating the currents of the entire world and how it affects coastlines and degradation and so on. And it just baffled my mind. How are you even doing that? But it was amazing to actually witness. I also like this certain this section of Trinidad and Tobago. Sorry, we're very, very tiny. Yes. Another one of the facilities they had there was the vertical gun range facility, where they would basically test projectiles onto simulated surfaces and see the actual impact surface. So this is the actual gun range here, which would rotate upwards and then fire a simulated asteroid or some form of projectile, and then they would record the impact craters and so on and check the debris ejection and so on. They weren't able to actually run most like demos of these experiments because it costs a lot of money. So. But these were actual video recordings that they were able to show us. These actual facilities are just one of the most interesting experiences. I tried to go on every single tour that I could possibly go on there because everything about it was amazing. One of the other facilities that they had was the vertical motion simulator tour facility, where they would basically train pilots and astronauts in flying the actual shuttles and so on. So we can see here the actual replica of the actual cab that they would have for the shuttle, and then this cab is able to move within 6 degrees of freedom, so basically in most ranges of motion, and this is where they would test the pilots and so on. One of the actual most interesting parts of the tour was this person here, who is Karel Bobko. He is an astronaut, actually, and it was very interesting to meet him and learn about his experiences and his different flights that he logged, different missions that he went on, and so on. This is inside the cockpit where we were able to, in this scenario, we were able to see outside, we were flying over San Francisco. We weren't able to maneuver it more or less, but we were still able to go inside and see inside the cabin as it moved around and so on. So that was quite interesting. And also the other facilities that they had were the wind tunnels. Yes, you can see that this is the unitary plan wind tunnel. It's much smaller, but it's still very important for testing and so on. And this is the 80 by 120 foot wind tunnel, the largest wind tunnel in the world. I wasn't able to go in, unfortunately, because I'm a foreign national, but she was. Yeah. So, part of the experience was actually meeting different people from all over the world. So we were part of the International Interns group. So I met people from Portugal, Australia, Spain, Mexico, and so on. These group of individuals were so interesting and unique. We also had to present on our countries as part of a cultural lunch and learn experience, where every lunchtime on a Friday evening, we would just present on our country and all the different things about it and so on. So it was actually quite an interesting experience to learn from these persons, where they were from, and just everything about them. Roommates. So this was also a new experience for me, to live with someone, like actually live with someone sleep right next to you on your bed. Like, these are the beds, you would sleep right next to them. So it was a very unique experience, and basically they become more or less your best friend. You look out for them, they look out for you, you do things together. So it was quite a unique experience to become close to someone and just become friends, lifelong friends that you probably keep more or less in contact with for the rest of your life. And Also, the friends that we made there. Some of these friends, they apparently have homes in different countries now because everyone's always saying, oh, come to New York, you could come stay with me and so on. And I'm like, yeah, sure, come to Trinidad, you can stay by me as well. So the group of friends that we made, they were very interesting individuals, very accomplished. All the different things about them, they were so unique and amazing. We went bowling sometimes. These people, they're just fun to be around, fun to be with. They're all intelligent minds, and you just want to learn from them or just interact with them, more or less. So some of the other adventures that we went on, we went to various concerts. There's a amphitheatre near where we are called Shoreline Amphitheatre. So they usually have many concerts from different bands and so on. We went to a 30 Seconds to Mars concert just because they were very cheap and they were right there. They were just fun to go with friends and enjoy yourself, more or less. As you can tell, we rocked out. By the way, did I mention concerts? Because we really loved concerts, and I love Breaking Benjamin, and they had a concert there as well, and all of us went and we had fun. This was the Breaking Benjamin concert, and this was another concert where we went to see Weezer. It was also very fun. We also had various trivia nights and board games, where every Monday at a local bar, we would, the NASA minds would go together and hopefully conglomerate our intelligence and succeed at the trivia night. It was actually pretty hard questions. We usually did okay, but it's still pretty fun with a group of friends around you. And played various board games, Monopoly. Sometimes friendships were broken, obviously. And I also had the pleasure of experiencing my 24th birthday up there. So it was just a regular day, I thought. I was just like, okay, I'll just go to work. It was a Tuesday. And then maybe we would go for lunch or something, or dinner. And then while I was in my room just sitting down reading, they barged in and kidnapped me and put a bag over my head and then carried me with a bag over my head all around. I had no idea where we were going. And so some of you may know, I liked, one of the cultural experiences I had there was eating burgers at In-N-Out. It's a common fast food restaurant there. So basically they carried me there and fashioned a cake out of burgers. That sounds unhealthy and terrible. It was. So yeah, they sat me down and gave me a nice little hat. And these friends they're great friends, more or less. It was just one of the best times of my life, meeting these people, and it was amazing. Also, some other fun times we had a 90s or early 2000s style party where we dressed up and went out. I dressed up as a typical, I'm not sure exactly. And well, everyone went to something different. He's a farmer, a Pokemon master, I don't know. So we just had a fun time, all of us. It's just, the experience that we had with these people is just one of the greatest that you'll probably ever have. And, right. Also, we went skydiving, because why not? So this is us preparing for the jump. Ariel also went skydiving on a different day. You can see the picture of her hair. I saw a black cat on the day of us skydiving, so I was like, what? So that was a bit scary, but it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. We jumped from 8,000 feet and free fall. It was just so surreal to see that sort of thing. It was just amazing, most definitely bucket list, do it again. And some art, you probably can't see it, that's unfortunate. Okay. Hiking, I also had the pleasure of going to Yosemite Valley and seeing the waterfall there. Hiking through there is amazing. It was quite breathtaking and beautiful. The granite walls, the gray granite walls and so on, seeing the waterfall and climbing up as close as possible and just feeling the breeze. It was just amazing. And we went hiking a lot of places. This is at Windy Hills with my roommate Timothy. And all these adventures were just so very fun. And one of the final days was the poster presentation day, where we would present the work that we did, basically. So the work that I did here, where all the interns would come together. So on my poster presentation day, I had my device with me, and you were more or less supposed to stay with your poster and basically describe it. But because I had so many friends there, I just wanted to see all the work that they did, all the cool things that they did. I already know what my project was about. So I was just walking around, just looking at all the different posters that people had, all the different learning from them, it was just so amazing listening to what they had, what we all did, and the culminating event that it was. Also, my device was kind of interesting to look at, so while I was walking around, people would just ask me, oh, what's that? And then I would explain mine. So. And finally, one of the best experiences, I guess we would say, that we had there was camping at Big Sur. Big Sur is one of the points along the coastline of California. It's away from most light pollution and so on of the big cities, so it was quite dark. I'm usually known as not being recluse, but more, I wouldn't do lots of outgoing stuff. But being with these people, they just make you adventurous. It was a 3-hour drive to Big Sur. I've never driven 3 hours anyway. So lots of things in Trinidad and America are just far away from each other. So the actual drive itself was a bit long and arduous. But it was actually the journey there, because we were driving along the coastline, there was a fog bank over us. And as we were driving through it and going higher and higher into the hills, we weren't seeing anything. It was just pitch black, more or less. So that when we actually punched through the fog bank and we were able to look up into the sky, and you were able to see the starry night sky because it was unimpeded by light pollution. You were able to see the Milky Way galaxy. It was just one of the most beautiful things you'd ever see in your life to see, and you were doing it with great friends. So that experience is probably one of the most lifelong experiences that I'd have. Just doing that, camping for the first time, that was interesting. And but I'd love to do it again. And also going to the various beaches along the Pacific coast. The Pacific coast is very cold. But it was still great to see the scenery and so on, and just have fun, more or less. So these friends that I made, the experience that I had, it was amazing, and I can't explain it any better than that. Thank you for listening.